Yeah.
Okay, so I've been looking forward to having this kind of conversation, right? Because my podcast over the years have been focused on young people, helping them find certain insights that would help them start their journey to career and leadership success. But this particular topic has been on my mind, and that's because it relates to youth enterprises. One way we would be able to curb youth unemployment in Nigeria and Africa at large is we need to start having conversations around scaling youth enterprises, right? So whether it's in cities and both underserved cities. So I felt it was important that I invite you over, right, to have this conversation with you on your experience, right, or your lessons and insights that you have captured over the years working across helping young people scale youth enterprises and the like. So that's a good way to say thank you for joining my podcast, and then it's good to have you, Aghogho.
Welcome.
Maybe it's a good time to start by introducing yourself, just a bit about you, so that we can kick off the conversation proper.
Okay. Thank you very much. Great. And well done for the good job that you're doing. We need more of this kind of interaction to help strengthen the ecosystem, particularly for young people. So a little bit about me. I have been working in supporting youth for a very, very long time. Uh, uh, Even before I joined Faith, I have part of what I've done is to support youth in terms of employability and entrepreneurship, trying to see how we can be part of the solution of the problem that all of us face. And recently, when I joined Faith, it gave me even more opportunity, a bigger platform to be able to even do more, particularly because Faith Foundation, I think this March is we celebrated our 24th anniversary. And so we have been supporting entrepreneurs across Nigeria and even some part of Africa in the last 24 years. And so my role at Faith is basically to oversee, as a senior program manager in Faith, I oversee the startup and youth enterprise department. So what that means is that these are majorly young people who are either about to start a business, from idea phase to even having started a business. All we are trying to do is to help them to be able to run businesses by putting in place the fundamentals and ensuring they run not just a successful business, but what is key for us is sustainability. Because we know that for every 5 years, only 5% of business are able to celebrate their anniversary, 5-year anniversary. 95% are gone as a result of many, many issues. So our goal is to ensure that we reduce the mortality rate of businesses by helping them to understand those fundamentals that are required to increase their success rate in the field that they play. So this is what I've been doing, supporting businesses across Nigeria and also interfacing with partners across the world to help support these young people.
It's insightful, Aghogho. I mean, that statistics is very shocking. I mean, let's even start from there. Tell me a bit about some of the success stories that you've experienced in helping youth-led enterprises scale, and what lessons you think other aspiring entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, can learn from them.
Okay. Hello. Hope you can hear me clearly, just to be
Clearly,
sure.
yes.
You can hear me loud and clear. Okay. Okay. So again, one thing is clear. Nigerians, the average Nigerian is typically enterprising. You can't take it away from them. Our role at Faith is not to teach people necessarily about how would I put it? Nigeria enterprising. Young people naturally love to go to run business. In fact, there was a time in Nigeria where there was a craze. There was this buzz for starting a business and all that. Some even came up with a slogan that if you are working for other people, you are helping to fulfill other people's dream, even though I don't agree with that. But just to let you know that a lot of young people, we are interested in starting up businesses. And the experience that I've had so far is that while we have a lot of people who are starting business, there's still a lot of knowledge gap, capacity building wise in these young people. So oftentimes we find that people who come to our program just discover that, look, what I've been doing all this while is hustling. I've not really started building what we call a business. I just own it. I just own a business. I'm just a business owner, but I've not owned a business. I've not been able to build a business that can be separate from me, such that I'm building system, I'm building structure, I'm building a business for the future, not just to survive, not just to earn, but to build a business that can be a legacy and that can really impact society. And so many of them, some of them will come with an idea of a business or even running a business and leave our program completely changing their business. Some will even pivot because they just see that there's no future in that business. Part of one of the major courses that we take in all our programs is the business model canvas, for example, which helps you clearly know if your business is viable in the first place. And so anytime we take that course, it just exposes their business, and that is really gives them an insight into what they need to do on their business. Another thing that we also find out is that finance has been a major problem, access to funding. If you ask any entrepreneur, their number one issue is funding. And of course, obviously for many, access to funding. Obviously for many reasons. You know, in developed countries, they have access to not just patient funds that will require a long period of time for you to pay. We call it patient capital, but also funds with very low interest rate. In developed underdeveloped countries like Nigeria, or what we call developing countries like Nigeria, we don't have that. So it's really tough. And we just have few angel investors or impact investors here in Nigeria. And so access to funding is a big issue. So there are two major issues in funding. There's the supply side and there's the demand side. The supply side are the funders. It could be venture capitalists, it could be angel investors, it could be in form of loan or even grant to these funding issues. One side, the entrepreneur who needs that funding, some of them are actually not prepared to receive funding, meaning that their books are not well kept, touch them because there's fundamental issues in terms of structure and system. So these are some of the challenges to ensure that. Hello.
Yeah, welcome back.
Oh, sorry for that technical hiccup. So we help them to be investor ready so that they can be able to ask. One of the common story, in fact, I just had one of the entrepreneurs reach out to me just yesterday. She went for a pitch and she got the pitch. And one of the reasons why she got the pitch is that when she ran through our program, there was a special course where they pitched. In fact, it was very rigorous. And she mentioned that as one of the things that really contributed to our success. The interesting thing was that 3 of them that won that prize money, all of them came from faith.
Wow.
And so they have been prepared and ready to, attract any kind of funding, from grant, loan to even investment. Yeah.
Interesting. So, I mean, you identified two important challenges that I'm interested in: capacity building and access to funding, right? As major challenges that, I mean, are usually faced by young people in Nigeria when it comes to whether it's starting the businesses or scaling their businesses. And I mean, would you say that this is where would you categorize this kind of challenges? Would you say it's a problem of mentorship gap? How important is it that we're having young people who want to start businesses looking up to other persons who have been in businesses for many years and are able to I mean, in terms of capacity building right now, and are able to get insights and wisdom from other veterans who have built businesses, right? And going from the statistics you also quoted, right? Um, do you think that it's a problem of mentorship, or where does lack of mentorship comes in place?
Okay. So I wouldn't attribute that to mentorship, even though I know that mentorship is very, very, very key. In fact, in designing all our program, there's always a component of ship. You can't take that away because it helps to reduce some of the risk based on the experience of this veteran, as you called it. It's a whole plethora of things factors that affect these young people when it comes to access to funding. From even policy perspective, in terms of policy, the government, for example, uh, although they are doing this through the Startup Act, a bill that has just been signed, I think 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And the Startup Act is to help support startup in Nigeria in terms of funding, in terms of ease of doing business, registration, in terms of even talent, getting talent, both expatriate and internal, and all that. But back to access to funding. So policy, so there are many things, and so let me just mention them, not necessarily in order of priority, though I will still mention mentorship, as you have alluded to not too long. So from a policy perspective, policy is going to make a significant impact on helping to support young people. Uh, Policy that help to incentivize funding institutions to support young people will be very, very key for people to be able to raise capital, particularly patient capital with very low interest rate to help young of their business idea. That will also help. Number two is, of course, capacity building. Uh, the, there are a lot of young entrepreneurs who are not financially literate. And for you to be able to attract and manage funds, not just attract funds, but manage funds, you have to be very, very skilled at financial management. And this is something that does not just fall upon you. You have to acquire that skill. We have found out that many entrepreneurs are lacking in this area. And so many people will not want to touch them because there's no system or structure in place in their business that make any investor or somebody who wants to give loan or even grants to see a clear path of, if I put money in this, how can I see the money with the way the business is structured? And so capacity building is extremely very, very important. Three is mentorship, as you mentioned. The role of mentorship cannot be emphasized. And that's why in our programs at Faith, mentorship is a very critical component of our program. And so we always try to pair mentors who particularly are in the same industry with the entrepreneurs. So if a entrepreneurs 15, 20 or 30 years. There are some industries, capacity building, mentorship, even funding institutions must begin to see how they can streamline the bureaucracy, longer period to get funding, collateral, and things like that. If we have a good credit rating system in Nigeria, most of all these issues will not be having them. But our credit rating system in Nigeria is not at par with the developed society. Because what credit rating system does is that once I look at your credit history and I see that you have a good credit rating, it gives you credibility to assess funding system that you can use to measure the credibility of people. But we don't have that full adoption of credit, the credit bureau organization for a lot of people who do businesses. So these are some of the things that I think can be done to help improve access to funding and in addition, capacity building. But I must say that there have been a lot of opportunity for capacity building. Faith Foundation is not the only one. There are a lot of people who are playing in this space, both locally and even internationally. Even the federal government currently, they are working. In fact, there's a website that was launched, I think, early this year or late last year, stated for startup, enterprise development, enterprise support organization like Faith Foundation, CC Hub, and the likes of them, and even investors. So it's a website where investors and those people in the entrepreneurship ecosystem can be able to network and exchange value. Yeah.
Okay, great. I mean, in terms of capacity building, confirm, we have a lot of organizations who are playing in that aspect. But in your own language, I don't think we have a lot of institutions or organizations funding, providing access to funds, right? Especially low interest rates funds that would help young people start businesses and scale businesses. But I want to get your insight around, let's localize this. So you are in a position to advise a certain state government, because truth of the matter is that whether you like it or not, everybody who starts a business had a business in a particular state, in a particular location, in a particular local government or environment, right? So and every business have the potential, not every, but businesses that have potentials to scale and employ people and reduce the unemployment rate is a very it's an important conversation we should be having. How would you, what's your insight to how can we improve such access to funding? What can we do? I'm trying to find the best way to ask this question, but maybe how can we find collaboration between both government agencies, private sector partners, other stakeholders in such a way that we can create more access to funding for youth enterprise or young people's enterprise? I don't know if you understand my question.
Yes. Yes. So everybody has his role to play in helping to improve this issue regarding to access to funding. Everybody has his role to play. But one of the things that, again, there have been a little form of improvement in terms of access to funding. I call it little. The emphasis there is little, not enough to be able to bring about the change that we all desire. By little, I mean, if you look at in terms of investment that has been attracted by Nigerian startup, even in Africa, Nigeria still has the highest amount of funds that have been attracted. In the last quarter, for example, the only VC funds that has been attracted to the continent has been close to $500 million. And in that $500 million, Nigeria alone has attracted more than close to about 20% of that funds. Only Nigeria alone. In fact, Nigeria is has the highest number of funds that has been attracted to startup capital. Exactly. And so there's more venture capitalists, angel investor are beginning to bring in their funds. But again, Nigeria is a very difficult, because there's a lot of risk in Nigeria in terms of recuperating your return on investment. I mean, look at the case of Landmark that was just demolished and all that. That doesn't instill confidence in investors. And we have had a lot of story. I follow Tech Cabal, and we constantly hear stories of startup, closing. Some is due to the founder's fault. In some cases, is due to the very, very harsh and difficult economy that they live in. Because the truth is that investors are constantly looking at where they can invest that they can get a good return. And so they are very, very careful. And this is where government must come in to support or incentivize investors by helping to de-risk some of these investments. One, they need to de-risk some of this investment. By de-risking investment, I mean, what are some of the support that they can give to all these funding institutions in terms of ensuring that the funding that they provide for young people, there's a little bit of support that the government is supporting them in one way or the other. Number two is we need to have a lot of hubs, capacity building for a lot of young people. Yes, we have the proliferation of this training, but it's not still enough. We need quality, intensive capacity building that is beyond just academic, that is very practical and hands-on, and that infuse the mentorship program to it. Secondly, we need to have what we call business service providers. Take, for example, you're running a startup or you're running a business. For you to assess, it's very difficult for you to pay for a HR consultant, for an accountant, for a legal professional, because you are just starting. Yet these services are very, very critical for your foundation. And so we need to see how we can be able to, how can these services be provided in such a way that it's at a very affordable and reduced price for SMEs, so that these professionals, these business service providers can help young businesses in terms of their business plan, in terms of their accounting, help them to set up an accounting system, help them to set up HRO system, help them to set up, their social media, digital marketing strategy and all that. All those things that professionals bring to the table without spending an arm and a leg. It is only medium businesses or big businesses that can afford all these consultants and all that. So if there's a way, and the government here can subsidize even that service, because if you are having access to consultants, particularly professional, you will do well. Last 2 weeks, Faith Foundation invited the founder of Slot, who has the slot franchise all over Nigeria now. And for the first 5 years, according to him, I got his book. He authored a book, The Slot Way. He said that he didn't even know what they were doing. One of the things that made them the slot that they are today was the support of consultants. And they were not big consultants. They were just young, smart people who helped them to develop strategy for a period of years, and the entire slot changed completely. From an organization where it was just family and friends that were working, he had to fire them and put a proper structure based on the advice of the consultant. And today we can see clearly that slot is dominating that market, but not everybody have this opportunity. So if we can have a way of democratizing or subsidizing business development support services for young entrepreneurs, I think it will fast track the development of these young businesses and reduce the mortality rate of some of these businesses.
Insightful. I mean, I think I like specifics that you have just listed, right? And I mean, it helps to at least start from somewhere, including what government can do what individuals can do and what even the business owners can do. Right. So, I mean, the last question I think I want to ask is, because you earlier mentioned the skills, financial management. This is my last question. You earlier mentioned financial management as a skill. What do you think is the place of technology? That's my last question. What do you think the place of technology could be in helping young people scale, businesses?
Wow, wow. Uh, Thank you for answering that question, because everyone knows that technology, in fact, after the COVID-19 completely changed the way we do business. Not just business, it completely changed our entire life. But more even importantly for business, what that means is that uh, somebody could be in his room and run a business that helps to provide other product or services just by sitting in this room with just their gadget and a good internet, with a good brain behind that. And so the role of technology is so important, particularly now we have the talk of AI on top of that again. And what technology helps to do is help young businesses to be able to scale easily, leveraging technology. Yes, in terms of internet, the speed of internet and technology infrastructure, we are not here there yet. But at least what we have, and for any smart person that is willing to do the work, you can leverage on some of these technology platforms to be able to scale your business. I mean, look at what the social media is doing to young businesses and how they can be able, because access to market is also another important aspect, apart from access to finance. How do you gain access to market? And social media gives you that platform to reach out to people beyond your geographical location, not just even in Nigeria, but even outside Nigeria. But you need to learn how to use this tool. And so it is now incumbent on the individual and even enterprise support organization to begin to help support young people on how they can leverage on technology to be able to scale their business. Again, AI has made everything easy. It's just for people to be patient enough to understand the role of this technology and use that to their own advantage. I mean, in terms of accounting, there are platforms that help you in your accounting system. In terms of payroll, yes, there are some that you subscribe to, but there are a lot that is very, very affordable for SMEs. There are even HRO technology platform that are very, very affordable. I know one because one of our entrepreneurs built one specifically to help SMEs who don't have a huge, deep pocket to be able to develop, to have a good HRO system. And these are technology platforms. So young people can begin to leverage on this multiple technology, either free or highly subsidized, to be able to run their business efficiently, such that you can look at your laptop, you can look at your phone, and be able to, through that data and insight, because what technology helps you to do is to be able to make informed decision based on data. And so because you are using that platform, you have access to this data and you can be able to make that decision and even predict, for the future in terms of the kind of decision that you make. So it helps you to become smarter, and it helps you to be even have the ability to scale your business beyond your geographic limitations that we have. But I don't think anybody has any excuse today not to leverage on technology, because it is out there almost for free or even at a very low price.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Aghogho. I mean, it's been an insightful conversation. I've been taking notes of some of the points you've mentioned, but even the last point you just mentioned about leveraging technology still circles back to capacity building. I mean, you've got to learn how to leverage technology, right? So you have to study, you have to learn some of these skills. And if you can't even learn it yourself, you have to leverage on I mean, there are a lot of consultants who can do certain things for you and at an affordable rate.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Capacity building, access to funding. These are two regular indicators or topics that we really have to keep expanding on if we want to scale youth enterprise solutions across Nigeria and Africa at large. I'm really grateful. I want to ask you one personal question that I always ask all my guests in my podcast edition, and that's one book that's over the years have made a huge impact on your life and your career. What would that book be? Just one.
There are a lot of books that have made impact in my career. So I'll mention the very, very first book that I read. That was when I was about to go to the university, and it's a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, written by Dale Carnegie. That was a very, very powerful book that radically changed my life. And I say this because when I was young, I was very, very timid and shy. I couldn't even speak to one person, not to talk of and all that. And it helped my interpersonal relationship significantly because it helped me to understand not just myself, but people and what is so important to people. And one of the things that I will never forget is that people sound of name. And there are many things. I can still remember that book vividly, and it has been a very, very good read for me. So that's one book that has really impacted me.
Thank you so much. It's been perfect. And it's been a great time talking to you, Aghogho. Head of Startups and Youth Enterprises at Faith Foundation, right?
Correct.
Thank you so much. Right. I really appreciate all of the insight and the time you've taken to speak with me. Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for the work that you do at Faith Foundation and helping youth enterprises scale. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And thank you for the good job you're doing. God bless you and enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah.
Okay, bye.